The What's Neat This Week video podcast is supported by enthusiastic model railroaders just like you. Additional support is provided by Athearn Trains. Check out all their new monthly announcements at athearn.com. Further support is provided by the NCE Corporation, the power of DCC. Visit their website at ncedcc.com. And thank you for supporting the What's Neat This Week podcast.
This is the What's Neat This Week, show number 124 for August 1st, 2020. I've got a great group of guys with me tonight. Sitting in studio with me, I've got Sugarfire Joshua Barton.
Hi, everybody.
On Skype tonight, I've got Michael Budde in the top corner.
Hey.
Daniel Coombs wearing his BNSF mask.
Hi, guys.
And James Regier over here wearing his Santa Fe mask. Hi, James.
Hi.
Awesome. We've got a lot of new things going on this week, as always, and that's why we do this show. It's an honor, actually, to promote the best hobby in the world.
Absolutely.
For all of our viewers out there.
Indeed.
Talking about new products, new companies, new events every single week that are going on in our great hobby that we have. And I'm going to start out right away talking about Greg McComas. Now, Greg, we talked about him on a show 2 shows back. I think it was show number 122 or 121, where I mentioned his Michigan Interstate Railroad, a private railroad that he's got on his layout, where he's created his own paint schemes and just an absolutely amazing modeler. We're going to have him on the second week of August. In fact, next week when we're doing a show, I look forward to that interview with Greg. But he is also a new manufacturer, and that's the thing we pride ourselves on this show, is talking about the new manufacturers out there that you don't know about or may not have ever heard of because they're brand new manufacturers. And he's got a company called Mac Rail LLC. Mac Rail, and in fact, I'm going to talk about his website, macrailproducts.com. He just set that website up this week. And what he sent me are EOT devices, end of train devices that you can put into your Katy couplers or whatever type couplers you've got on your train, so that you can put the rear end train device on your train. And also he's got flags that you can also clip into your couplers, the little red flags.
Oh, nice.
I know. I photographed all of these, and I wanted to show them to you up close. In fact, there's some great photographs on his website as well, and that is macrailproducts.com, MACRAIL products.com. Really nice website. We just looked at it tonight.
I'll tell you, another thing that really grabbed my eye on the website is they have these racks that you would see on the side of the buildings that actually hold these Freds and these flags, so then the people that are running the train will grab them, and yeah, those right there, aren't they cool?
Those are cool.
They are.
So thank you very much, Greg, for sharing your new products with us and all of the viewers of the show. We look very forward to having you on next week. It's going to be an absolute honor because his layout is amazing.
Absolutely.
Another new company out there that I want to talk about tonight, John Fowler. I talked to him last night at 4 o'clock in the morning. He's in my schedule. I love that about John. And John has a company called ZYXCreative.com. ZYXCreative.com. And he makes a lot of neat 3D printed items. The one item that Joshua really liked were the tunnel portholes.
Yeah.
So he makes tunnel portholes and tunnel liners. And I'm going to show his website. I'll screen capture the website and show it to you here. He also creates bridge footings, like bridge piers, flangers and greasers, culverts, blocks to create walls like the railroads use to hold up the dirt from the sides of the main line. He creates bridges, bridge abutments and piers, and telephone shacks. And the telephone shacks were new to me, I guess.
Yeah, me too. I've never seen a telephone shack like that.
That's kind of
me
cool.
neither.
So hats off to John Fowler. One other thing that I want to say about John, we're going to have John on the show as well. Hey, there's Mike's cat. We're going to have John on the show as well. And John is one of those modelers that has a passion for the hobby, just like we all do.
Absolutely.
John used to watch that old Pentrex video that I've got from 1987. I think that's the year it was made, where they showed the Tehachapi Loop out in beautiful California. And John said, I saw there were houses on the hill in one of those video clips. And so what he did was he searched out the location, bought a piece of land out there, and built an actual house on the Tehachapi Loop area out there. So he can see trains right off of his balcony, right off of his back porch. And in fact, he sent us a few photographs. I'm going to start with this shot of the snow.
Oh my goodness. I mean,
Wow.
If I had a place where I could live, that would be it, boy. It's beautiful right there on the loop itself.
And he shot us some summertime shots of various consists of locomotives. It was really a pleasant thing to see.
Yeah,
these,
the Katy, seeing the Katy and the Olympic torch train coming.
There you go. And the shot here of the coupler that broke off of the train
I
and the
think
guy
there's-
standing back there.
There's one laying outside of your house just like that, Ken.
Yeah, thank you, Joe Steinman. But what an amazing place to live. John Fowler, we look forward to having you on the show. And again, check out his website and his brand new company, which is advertising in Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine for the very first time this month.
Awesome.
And that is zyxcreative.com. Two brand new companies in our industry making really cool products.
Yeah.
And again, these are model railroaders. These are the guys who are in the trenches, just like us.
Yep.
Making things that they see that are necessary or needed or not created in the industry.
I imagine he needed them on his layout, so he made them and then say who else needs them on theirs.
I couldn't wait to talk about that tonight. So, rock and roll. Let's go out into Skype land out there. James Regier, tell me, what do you got going on, brother?
So I just got back from Kansas this last Saturday, and so I've been playing catch up with stuff around the house, including the trackmobile, and I've been troubleshooting it much of the week. One of the things I discovered when I had it hooked up on the track, and unfortunately I didn't film this, but I noticed that the headlights and taillights on this trackmobile were pulsing with the strobes. Upon further exam, I noticed that there must have been a wire or a lead off the LED that was making contact with the metal frame of the trackmobile, and so that was sending the signal right through to the LED lighting, because there was another wire somewhere else that must have been making contact with the frame, and so that was messing me up. So I had to dismantle things somewhat and reassemble. I think I've got that nailed down now, so it's just a matter of zipping it up. But I also have discovered a few things about drying time for that silicone paint that I like to use, because unless it's perfectly dry, unless it's perfectly set, it's not going to isolate your electrical contract when it does dry if you put it in too soon. So that's getting going. Hopefully, and keep your fingers crossed on this. Next week, I will have footage of this thing starting to run on the track, because I have done the successful first test. It's just been a matter of troubleshooting for this week. But while I was in Kansas, I also designed. I went through my 3D gas pump design, and I think we talked about this on an earlier show. I redid it in order to make a how-to video, just because I know that these 3D graphics design programs can be very intimidating for beginners. Like, I was looking at it and wondering how you get a complex model out of it. And really, there's just a few simple steps, a few simple shapes, a few simple cuts and edits that you can use to make just about anything. And I recreated the gas pump as part of the process. I'll send a better photo of this. But I incorporated more angles. I attempted to incorporate some of the shutoff levers and some of that into what you'd have found on the pumps, and it actually came out quite a bit better than the original one.
That's cool. What
Yeah.
program do you use when you're designing things in CAD for your 3D printer that you've got?
Well, I've actually chosen Blender.
Blender.
And the reason I chose Blender is that it is a full-bodied professional-grade suite that's free for the downloading. They encourage donations, but it's all open source, so it's constantly being updated, constantly being developed, and you can use the more basic functions in order to create your 3D models for your layout. You don't need to create the next version of Quake for your layout necessarily. You're just trying to create simple buildings and details, and it absolutely nails it like that. So it's been kind of fun getting to know that program, and I can definitely envision more projects coming out of that. But what I'm going to hope to do with the how-to video is show people just how easily you can get started with this kind of thing to create stuff for your layout, because it can be very intimidating. It certainly was for me, but suddenly there's a few steps and you can get started.
That's awesome, man.
But then, yeah, the other thing I wanted to talk about was just on the trip back from Kansas last week, I made a stop in the small town of Lebo, Kansas. That's just east of Emporia. And right there, I decided to take in a couple trains. Now, if you remember, or if you've ever seen Santa Fe Odyssey, which is that fantastic set of videos made by Emery Goulash,
Green Fog, yeah,
documenting Santa Fe from the 1950s on up through the 90s. They actually stopped in Lebo. Didn't have a lot of luck catching trains. They had that beautiful train station. Of course, there's nothing left of it, but it was painted up in their bicentennial colors. And I stood in the footprint of that station and watched a couple trains go by. And actually, and I'll just share the screen here. I found some neat modeling opportunities as well, looking at it.
Wow.
So here,
Very cool.
3 locomotives up front, 2 cut in halfway down the train. But you also see in the background of this train one of those nice old wooden elevators, that's been sheathed in steel. Ken, you've used a version of this elevator in a lot of your shots.
Yes.
And these old elevators are of interest to me, sort of as pages of the past. A lot of them have fallen out of disuse as bigger facilities have become more efficient and more used. But they're nevertheless interesting. And Lebo offered several examples of grain storage. Here was another
That's
one
cool.
that had
Yeah.
later expanded a bunch of different with a bunch of different bins. So just a lot of opportunity to sort of diversify the model railroad as you get back. Let's see if I can. That may be. Nope, that's it for that. So I'll stop sharing here.
This is amazing. This is a new thing we learned to do on Skype, guys, is to
Yeah,
share
it's very
screens
cool.
like that.
Very cool.
So yeah, Skype has improved their what we can do now on the show, and thank you, James, for figuring that out for us.
Yeah. So yeah, I was just having a good old time on the trip back. So that's basically all I have to share personally.
Very nice.
One thing I did notice coming in basically immediately after our show released was Intermountain Railroad. They've actually announced another run of their bi-level auto racks.
That's nice. Those are great auto racks.
Right.
Those
Because
things have
they're-
sold out so well.
Yeah,
I
the
guess
first run went real quick.
This last run went so quickly that they're going to do another quick run for that.
right. IntermountainRailways.com.
But yeah, they will be available again with pre-orders due August 30th.
I love the ones they sent here. Those two are in that train that I've been running around
They
the
are
basement
very
all
nice
week.
too.
I've been working.
They are super
I
nice.
haven't had a chance to run the Garden Railroad all week, and it's really bummed me out because it's literally rained every single
day.
Just somebody stop the rain, please. You know what? You're talking about auto racks. Let's go out to Michael Budde, because I know, Mike, you probably got some auto rack stuff you want to talk about tonight.
All right.
Yeah, as usual. Yeah, the main thing I worked on this week was that Vertipack I showed you a couple weeks ago. This is a project I've wanted to do for a long time. Ever since the Vertipacks first came out, I was fascinated with them. And Quality Craft and Glorcraft had an old wooden kit, and I built one of those with one of the doors that came down, and it was subpar. And then Exactrail came out with their Vertipacks a few years ago, and I thought about having some of the doors open on those, but I realized pretty quickly that the thickness of the plastic sides would take up so much room that you wouldn't be able to get the right scale, and the cars wouldn't fit in there. So I had this old Overland brass model that has the 2 center doors that open up, and I've had that for quite a long time, actually, and it didn't have a detailed interior. It just had a center divider, which is non-prototypical. On the prototype, you could see right through the car. Mm-hmm. So I removed the center divider, and then when John Tyson came out with his HO scale Vega, he sent me one of those, and I was able to cast it and reproduce enough of them to put inside this rail car. So I detailed the inside of the brass model by adding the internal bracing and supports for the cars, and then I built tracks, the door tracks on the insides of each door. I put the tracks in the wheel pockets and stuff, and I incorporated magnets into that structure on the inside of the door, and then I got magnets glued on the bottom of the cars, so I can just put the cars on there and they go stick right in the right position and then stay with the door as the door's folded up. So
That is so cool.
You never cease to amaze me, Mike. I tell you, just when I think that you couldn't do anything else upper level, you come up with something. It's amazing.
Yeah,
It's like a magician.
Yeah.
Like, poof, there it is.
yeah, it's pretty cool, man. I sent a little video of the doors going up. I had to have my fingers in it, but maybe you can fit it into the podcast somehow. But yeah, it turned out really nice. The Vegas looked nice, and I had some decals printed. John Tyson printed up a set of decals, of tail lights and vehicle trim and stuff. So I was able to print that out through William Brillinger Precision Design Company, and finish off the Vegas really nicely. And so that was that product. Those are actually just a little too old for my era. My era is around 78, and the last year for the Vega was 77, but this is something I've wanted to do for my whole life, so I took a little bit of time out of my current era to work on that.
Well, those Vertipacks, they're just such an interesting design. I think there was an article published recently. Was it from NBC or some major news outlet that was just kind of commemorating the Vertipack, and just sort of the brilliance of the idea.
Yeah.
Right.
You could load basically 2 to 3 times the number of cars on that single 89-foot flat as what
Right.
with a standard auto rack,
Right.
and it offered the promise of even potentially decentralizing the offload points, because all you need is a forklift to lower those doors, and you
Right.
can roll them off.
Yeah, cars drive right off.
Or any of
Right.
that. Yeah,
Well,
it's
it worked for the Vega because the Vega was just the right length, and then when the Vega went out, 77 was the last model year, and they started the Monza then, and the Monza was 10 inches longer, even though it was on the same floor pan and everything. They couldn't use the Vertipacks for the Monzas because they were too long, so they were de-racked right away and turned into conventional auto racks. So anyway, yeah, it was a really a brilliant concept. I have some literature from Southern Pacific showing the designs leading up to this project, and they actually used car models and plexiglass to figure this all out. And I've got pictures of those early models. There were prototypes that they were hauling the cars on their sides.
Oh wow!
And some of them, it was pretty cool. But this is the concept that they ended up using, and it was successful in that it saved the GM, hundreds of thousands of dollars in shipping. It's like 40% in shipping costs, because they could fit 30 cars, 30 autos on this car, as opposed to 18 on a standard tri-level. So it was a huge savings. But the Vegas were built to be shipped that way. They had the 45-degree windshield washer and bottle, and the batteries were mounted at an angle, and they had baffles in there. So it was designed to ship that way, but there was still a lot of stuff that leaked out of them. And Rand Hood was talking about that the last time we had him on the podcast, and I haven't yet replicated that in my model, but my daughter has some yellow nail polish that I'm going to use for antifreeze, so I've got to put some other stuff in there first to make it shiny. So I'll work on that a little bit later. But the other two, you're talking about auto racks. The other one, 2 things I brought this week to show are on MKT enclosed bi-level without a roof or without end doors. And this is a prototype I shot in 1992, but it was built in 1978, so I could conceivably use that on my layout. It would have to be brand new, but This and the Conrail one that I brought that I'm showing tonight, they're both Walters models that I cut the material out from in between each post and replaced the sides with Plano side screening. He's got a bunch of different sets that will fit these Walters racks.
Wow.
And I think he's having a sale. I think the panels are 50% off.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, as you go through the photos, you'll see how much improved the appearance of. You can see through them just like on the prototype, and there was a little bit extra work building decks for them and everything, but I wanted something a little different.
Well
and
worth it.
Yeah.
The Conrail one that's a little bit too new for me. I think actually, I took that prototype photo was about 1991, but I knew I was still at that point. I was still trying to be a modern modeler. You know, I started out modeling in like 1965, and I always thought I was keeping up with the trends. But by 1990, I realized I had all this brand new Penn Central stuff. You know, stuff that should be 30 years old, and so that's when I kind of gave up with all the new stuff and reverted back to my era of 1978. So.
Yeah, that's great.
But I liked that Conrail rack when I saw the pictures of it, and I knew I could, with the Plano panels, I knew I could make a cool model. Even though it has end doors, it doesn't have a roof, and that allows for a lot of detail on the vehicles and stuff. So,
Very cool.
anyway.
I'm gonna have
Very
to go
cool.
and visit some of my old Walters auto racks then with those Plano panels, because
Yeah.
Yeah, Keith Heaps makes some really
Even if
cool
you,
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Plano
he
model
does,
companies.
yeah. All kinds of mirrors for trucks and stuff. Yeah, you know, he has a lot of cool stuff down there. So,
Hey, man.
yeah, I mean those auto rack panels are just the trick. They make those Walters racks look really good. So, yeah, that's what I did. So anyway,
That's very cool. Daniel, tell us, brother, what do you got going on? I know you've been working on your layout some more.
Yeah, well, since I'm on a mobile phone, instead of tell you, why don't I show you real quick?
Okay.
All right.
I like
So
it when
what
he
I've
does
been
this.
doing is progressing, and as you guys know, oh, by the way, I got a SoundTraxx.
Keep calm and
run
play
some
with trains.
Yep. So I'm very excited about that. But all right. Anyways, back to what I was saying here. I got some of my fascia
Ooh.
built up,
Okay.
and of course,
that's
4x8
good.
sheet of wood at the hardware store down the street was about $5 or so not too bad. And as you see here, of course, I put the screws inside so I can cover them up with wood fill, and then I got 2 of my Digitrax power panels that you plug in the throttles to, and so it's going to, of course, dress up a lot of this layout area that I've got, and I'll scope around to just show you guys more progress that not more progress, but just another general glimpse of what I got going on still. So it's just little projects here and there, and I'm still progressing on the scenery. And here's actually the progress of my upper town. I'm just laying the track out, and of course I got to get a bridge to fill in this void right here. So I might well pick up a microengineering girder bridge and set that up, and it'll turn out great. And as we come around, and still in the building stages, and we sweep back around, and that's that.
That's just the right
So-
size layout for you, Daniel.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, I know. And again, it's nothing too big, but for right now, living still in my parents' house, and I'm paying rent, but it's like later on when I decide to move out of the house, be on my own, this layout, is a little bit modular, so I can take the foam modules with me. The benchwork, I might have to rebuild benchwork, but that's okay. I got the skills to do it. I love building stuff, so we'll let it be that.
How about that?
Also, one other quick thing I wanted to say. Shout out to Tony's Train Exchange out in, I think it's Vermont. I bought one of their PSX1s. This is a circuit breaker board that's specifically designed for any NMRA DCC system, NCE, Digitrax, MRC, so many other brands of systems. But this board, I mean, I don't know if you guys can just see the size of this. It's actually pretty huge. It almost fits in my whole hand. They come with a great packet of instructions, and there's a lot of other accessories you can put with it. And so, yeah, I'm going to wire 2 of these, one to my command station and then one to my booster, so that if something, of course, were to cross the rails, this would kill off the power before it reached the command station to detect off a short. One other thing that you can add to this is a circle right here. That's going to be an audible beep. So, Ken, it's kind of like your NCE circuit breaker. So, if something goes or something shorts out,
you'll be able to
hear a trip off.
That's very important because I'm usually not paying attention to the train. And when I hear that sound, you know how quick we are on it.
Yeah. And also with these new decoders, sometimes if you get a high, what they call a voltage spike or just a sudden lurch in voltage, if there's a short, then that could very well damage your decoder. So I would highly recommend get a PSX1 or any other kind of circuit breaker from any of the DCC manufacturers. But this, you can put like a little audible beep, and of course when it shorts out the track, I can say, oh, hey, I hear it going off, something's wrong.
That's really cool, Daniel.
That's that.
Yeah.
I've been working on the Garden Railroad, like I said, because of the rain. I couldn't get anything done. When I say working on it, it's in September's What's Neat video. There's a 17-minute segment in there of my 19-year learning curve of garden railroading. I go into the track. I go into a lot of the history of how I designed and built the topography out into the backyard. But primarily we discuss putting in cement roadbed. And it was a great video for even me to sit back and watch all of the slides that I went through. I spent hours and hours going through my slide collection, looking for all the documentation that I photographically did to show how that layout was built. So it turned out to be a good 17-minute long segment for September's video. Also in that video, George Bogatuk shares with us programming tracks, what they are, how to use them on your layout, how to set one up on your layout. And something that I didn't know about, he used this NCE power cab when he did his demo for the system. And I didn't know that the NCE systems actually got a programming track. You push some buttons on here and this will simply work the programming track itself. It all shows up on the screen, how to program the locomotive, or it'll read the decoder in the locomotive. So literally George showed us in the September video a little plug jack that you can get to connect to your NCE power system and connect it directly to the track so that this system will read the programming track, program the locomotives, back and forth communication. I had no idea that this could do that. So it's another great trick that you can get with your NCE power cab system.
I've had that system for 5 years, and I have a whole another separate set of track that I got to undo the wires and then do them on the programming track just to get that done.
I was really impressed with that. Also in the September video, I put in some of Stephen M. Conroy's drone footage of a beautiful Amtrak train running through the mountains of California, and that is September What's Neat over at Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine's YouTube site. That video that I produce every single month where we actually get our hands dirty. We show the how-tos that you don't get to see on the weekly podcast that we do here because this is all about new news and new products.
That's right.
And talking about new products, Athearn announced this week new Dash 9 locomotives.
Dash 9s.
Yeah.
They are on the Athearn website. It's really cool that they're doing these with the Tsunami 2 decoders and LED lights and rubber hoses. But I'm going to screen roll this. They're doing the BNSF in the H1 and the H2 paint schemes. I know, right? They're doing a Chicago Northwestern, seen in a W. They're doing a UP. I've got BC Rail. Those are the ones with the wide cabs that they're doing.
Yeah.
They're doing CN units. And they're also doing the NNS units that have got those...
The front doors that open.
Yeah, the different the smaller cabs with the noses on
Right.
them. We used to call those Techno toasters, right? But hats off to Athearn, brand new product announcements. Now the reason that we announce the new products on Athearn the way we do is because Athearn bases their runs on pre-orders, and the pre-orders on this end at the end of the month. This is the month of August right now,
August
and by
28th.
the 28th, all the hobby shops and distributors and individuals out there that want these units have to have their pre-orders in. As you recall, 2 weeks ago, I talked about the SD45-2 locomotives, which were just being delivered to the hobby shops.
Right.
Those are units that were probably announced 8 months ago because it takes that long to do the production run. But these are going to be available, I think, didn't we say in July-ish, something like that, of next year?
I think so, yeah.
But pre-orders end on 8/28. Check them out, guys, at the Athearn Trains website, athearntrains.com, the Dash 9s, which Bachman's coming out with in large scale. Thank you very much. I know.
You must be excited about that.
These will actually have more advanced features than some of what we've even seen to date. That they'll have lit number boards. They'll have the walkway lightings on the ends like of the locomotive. They'll have the ground lightings, all the stuff that you've come to expect, I guess, from their Genesis 2 run. I think it is now. But yeah, they've really improved their features and added a whole lot of new things for this run.
That is very cool.
Now, if I understand correctly, now are they coming out with a version with the sound decoder in it, or just analog DC?
They're coming out
No,
with...
it has sound. They have a sound and non-sound.
Okay.
They'll have dual sugar cubes.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that sounds pretty good.
How about that? Now, it is August. And in the August What's Neat video, which I do want to cover real quick because that's another great production that I made.
That's right. It should be out momentarily.
Last month. In that video, I show you how to install a 21-pin, an 8-pin, and a 9-pin decoder in your ready-to-run DCC-ready locomotives. And I don't tackle sound on this video. It's simple video installation of the decoders to make your engines run with your DCC system. Because down here in the basement, when I'm running trains all day long, I usually turn the sound way down or almost off. It's great to have when you got your friends around or during an operating session. But when I'm running down here and I'm working the phone or I want to hear the radio or, you know, I'm in and out of the basement, I just want to let the trains creep at about 11 or 12 miles an hour. And I let that happen all day long.
And that produces a great clickety-clack sound.
I do like that. Also in that video, you get to see Campbell Rice's brand new layout. He spent the last year building, I think it's actually more like 9 months of construction on that layout that he did since he's moved into his new house. It's a really cool layout. And also we've got some nice drone footage in that video from Stephen M. Conroy of the number 1111 Union Pacific's Powered by the People locomotive. And that's the lineup for What's Neat for August, which should be coming out at the time that this video comes out on Monday. So everything should schedule out just right. I think we've covered it all with you guys on the line. I know you're working on your layout, and we're at 32 minutes. Joshua, you want to briefly touch on?
I am. I've been working on the railroad quite a bit. I'm getting ready to install 35 of the new Walters turnout machines. So I'm anxious to hook those up and have DCC to them, and I'm putting them all together so the computer can run them, and they can be push button, or they can go on my NCE Pro Cab.
On your throttle. That is really cool.
It is very cool. It's going to be a little tedious, but it'll be great.
I can't believe how fast you're building stuff on that layout. You're really getting a lot done, as we all are. But you're still working full-time too, aren't you?
I am. I've been working again for a few months, full-time again, and so I don't get as much on the River City Railroad. But, you know, it's great.
Guys.
It's great. I love the hobby, and I love working on it, even though it's an hour every night.
Guys, this is the best hobby in the world with some of the best people in it. You, the viewer, and of course, our cast and crew that we change out every single week. So with that, I'm going to say Mike Budde, Daniel Coombs, James Regier, Joshua Barton. Let's go run some trains, guys.
See you later, guys.
Let's go run some trains.